GoHands is back. Yes, GoHands is back in all of its glory. We have boobs with minds of their own. We have camera angles all over the place and tons of hair. I swear they have like a sweatshop full of people that do nothing but draw strands of hair. It's crazy. But yes, Momentary Lily is here. It's finally here. I've watched the first episode and so far, it's okay. It's okay. And that's sort of what I felt I was going to feel coming into this because the PV kind of gave me an impression of just cute shenanigans and then crazy fights, and then cute shenanigans and crazy fights. And unfortunately for the first episode, a little bit too much of the shenanigans that isn't very interesting. But still, I came into this with expectations of that, and I still want to kind of check the series out and see what it has to offer. And it does have a little bit of a hint towards the later part of the first episode that it could go dark. X to doubt, it could go dark. But truth be told, I am a fan of GoHands. Not so much a fan of their properties all the time. I love K-series. I'm more of a fan of their experimentation. As much as we all hate the camera angles that goes up somebody's foot as they're walking down the street, they do experiment a lot with animation, and I'm always interested to see what they do with that stuff. Thankfully, with Momentary Lily, so far, they're chilling out with the camera angles under the feet. We don't have any, I didn't see any anyways, we don't have any camera angles from underneath somebody's feet. So that's a good thing. It seems like they're dialing it back a little bit. There is still crazy, camera angle action, and they're obsessed with lens flares. My gosh. Filters and lens flares all over the place, which we'll get into in a minute. But let's first start off by talking about what is Momentary Lily. Momentary Lily opens up in what it seems like a post-apocalyptic setting. We have essentially mankind seems to be gone. We do follow 5 girls who seem to have come together at some point and are defending themselves against what is the threat, which essentially is these machines that showed up at some point. It's like a flying saucer, and it almost like it seems like it projects a physical being underneath it, which looks like a human body. Not like you see like a body or anything, but it looks like the figure of a human body. And anybody that comes near those will be erased. And so that's what happened to everybody. You'll see like clothing on the ground here or there. It almost looks like a rapture. Like the rapture has happened and people's clothes just kind of drop where they were. But yes, we follow these 5 girls who seemed to have figured out a way to fight back against them. So every now and then they'll get a notification these machines are nearby and it's going to project one of these things. They'll go over there and they'll use weapons that they got from the machines to destroy the machines, and then they'll take the machine parts from them and use them to fight the next thing. And at some point we cut over to Renge, who's this girl who's been alone ever since the event happened. She has no memories of her past ever since the event happened. Sus. I wonder what that's going to lead to. And she ends up finding the 5 girls. They bring her in very quickly. They have a meal together. Then they go to fight one of these machines, and we kind of find out Renge has a weapon too. She's able to call to it. It comes to her, and she's able to use it, and she defeats the monster. Which they question, like, well, how'd you get that? You're supposed to get it from the monsters. And she's like, I don't know. It's always been with me. I had no memories of my past. I'm sorry. And they're like, oh, it's okay. You must have been so lonely. Be a part of our group. But key point here, we can't be friends. Why we can't be friends is because if one of us vanishes, it'll be too sad. But let's stay together forever, but not be friends. It's like, it's still gonna hurt. It's like, what? Anyways, that aside, that's how they wrap up the episode. But yeah, my thoughts so far, like I said before, I like the experimentation. Visually, the show looks very crisp. I love the hair in Gohan's series. The hair is just freaking crazy. As much as I joke about it, the strands of hair there's so much detail in it. The flow of it, and yes, even having these little subtle moments where the hair kind of flips over the ear. It's gorgeous. Their designs and the visual spectacle of the characters is fantastic. And yes, so much effort put into Erika's boobs. They're just all over the place. If she says a syllable, those things are flying around. They put a lot of effort into Erika's boobs, which is great because she's big sis, and I like big sis characters. But yeah, visually, it looks great. But yes, as per usual with GoHands, especially in the action scenes, that's where it gets a little bit questionable. I honestly felt this with the PV, and I'm feeling it with the show itself as it plays out. It wasn't as chaotic watching it, especially not on really low bitrate that YouTube has. Watching it at a higher bitrate, it does seem like it's a lot more easier to understand what's happening on the screen, but I do typically not like action scenes where crap's just flying over the place. And yes, what GoHands typically does, for those that have not watched GoHands, is most every one of their environments is always a CGI rendering of a background with some sort of filter put over it, which has gotten better over the years, but it's still not to the point where it matches the character designs. Often cases a lot more shiny. It has a lot of reflectiveness to it that does make it look more like a GTA environment rather than an anime. But yes, in the action scenes itself, you do have a lot of the the perspective of the actual angle with this 3D environment. It's constantly flipping around with the character 2D drawn inside of it, doing attacks, and typically, yes, the weapons being CGI as well. It didn't look too bad, but I will argue, yes, a lot of the action is just like, there's no thought put into it. It's just literally characters flinging around and then something gets hit, flinging around, something gets shot. It doesn't feel like there's a strategy to the fight itself. It's just, let's all play our part until the end. And yes, each one of the girls seems to have their own archetype in the combat itself. You have Erika, who is the big cis girl. Because she's a big cis, obviously, she's a shielder. I kind of do wonder if all these characters have their personality comes out in their abilities. But yes, she's a big sis. She's the shielder. Yuri is the Genki, bubbly, everybody have fun and be together girl. She seems to be just a regular attacker. Seems to finish off the initial enemy they have. Ayame seems to be like the cool, misunderstood, socially awkward type. And she's got double katanas. She's an attacker as well. We have Hina, who is the gamer girl. She is the gamer girl, nerd girl that constantly talks about game terms. She's like a rogue of some type, like she throws daggers. And then we have Sanzaka, who is the pretty girl, idol girl that is all about like, skincare and all this kind of stuff. And yeah, she's a sniper girl. And then later on when we meet Renge, she seems to surfboard on a sword, which, if it's a GoHands, you got to have somebody that does some sort of skateboarding. They love skateboarders. That's kind of the setup so far in the combat itself, which again is fine. My concern that I have for the show right now is what else is it going to offer besides the fighting itself, which that's where my concern is. Now, I want to hold hope that this first episode is what it is because they're introducing the characters and their personalities so that we can get into the good stuff. But based on the fact that, again, this is a GoHands original, it is wrote by people that worked on Handshakers and Project Scarred, I have zero hope. I loved Kei, but this is, again, Handshakers writer, and their writing is not good. Their dialogue, their character scripting, and all that kind of stuff is just not good. They fail miserably at really having dialogue that has thought put into it. And that's what I'm seeing already with the first episode. In the exchange, this long exchange that we have at the beginning and later on when they're eating is just nothing but food and their archetype. So again, Hina, all she talks about is gamer terms. Oh, I got to drink this energy drink, got my buff. No, I can't drink that. That's a debuff. Oh, we're going to do this. I want to play my game. This is so bothersome. I want to play my games. She's constantly talking about games. Again, Sanzaka, she just talks about skincare and going shopping and stuff like that. Erika is always talking about being the big sis and how she wants to give advice. Each one of these is their archetype and nothing more. And that's the fear that I have so far, is it's going to be very dumb conversations in this show. But that aside, hopes for the series itself. This is where things get sticky. Yes, like I said before, I have zero expectation just based on the writers. But what they have technically set up so far could be interesting. And yes, technically the whole post-apocalyptic rapture type of thing isn't a new concept here. Girls surviving in a setting where there's nobody, nothing new here. I can assume where they're going to go with this whole story is going to be girls have fun at pool, and then Monster shows up, they beat up Monster. They go to a store to get some clothing, they try out some outfits, then they go fight a monster. Maybe mixed in there you have technically 6 characters here. You're probably going to have an episode given to each one of them and what their life was before the event happened. And yes, eventually we'll get into Renge and how she's probably from the machines itself. She's a spawn of one of them and she shows up. Something like that. How it could technically have some weight to it is, yes, technically the episode preview for the next episode does sort of imply something bad happening to them. X'd it out. I highly doubt it. But yes, with the end of the episode, Yuri saying, don't be friends because be sad if one of us disappears. It does show Erika very briefly in the preview for the second episode, not just crying, but like literally saliva coming out of her mouth. She's got snot coming out of her nose. She's got tears running down each eye. She doesn't look happy. Now, and she's being picked up by one of these machines. It could be that she's in danger and she's going to get erased, and then we can possibly have like a Madoka moment here where all the characters are suddenly shocked and we realize, hey, this is serious. Or possibly, yes, she's crying over somebody else. I assume it's just a fake out. I'm going to assume that it's a fake out because this is an original series. It's by GoHands. They want to sell these characters. They can't erase the characters. It's technically an issue that the anime industry has as a whole, is that it's so built around merchandising and other properties and other ways of making revenue that they don't like taking out characters. It's also a really quick way to make fans turn away from a series, and so it's very difficult for writers to do. So yes, Erika is really hot. They're going to want to sell her figures. They can't get rid of her. They want to, and yes, if she's crying over somebody else, any one of them, they can't get rid of them because they want to sell figurines. They want to sell merchandise. And so I don't see GoHands erasing one of them. But we can. Who knows? It could be shocking. I assume it's probably just a fake out. She's a big sis character. She's probably going to be very emotional if somebody is possibly in danger, and we'll probably go that direction. But we'll see. We'll see. It could possibly do something. Other than that, yes, they've insinuated there's other machines here that don't seem to be connected to the bad machines that are still keeping things going. They could do something with that. But overall, it's a decent setup so far. It looks really pretty. The characters look really gorgeous. It's just they need to work on the chemistry. They need to work on the dialogue. They need to work on the overall story. Otherwise, it's going to probably one of those really throwaway shows. Hopefully the ecchi turns out to be good. So far, the only ecchi we really have is just Erika's boobs flying around everywhere. They show in the PV where they at least get in swimsuits and whatnot and go to the pool and whatnot. Maybe they'll have good ecchi there. But as much as I don't care much for this writer, I do hope to get something story-wise that'll be impactful for the story. Anyhow, that's my thoughts on Momentary Lily. We'll see where it goes from here. Hope you guys enjoyed my first impressions of the series so far. If you did, hit the like button down below, comment. Let me know if you're going to be checking out the series or not. If you're going to be like, nope, GoHands, nope, handshakers, nope. I'll just wait to see the goofy clips on Twitter where people laugh about them walking on the camera. I'll just wait for those. Let me know. Additionally, if you're new here, make sure to subscribe before you leave so you can get all my content. I'll be doing first impressions of all the shows this season, so definitely stay tuned. But with all that said, I thank you all for watching. If you want to support the channel, I have links in the description below. Greatly appreciate it, but does. Until next time, y'all take care.